Welcome back to Fall in the Field. I'm standing in one of the science labs at Southern Oregon University with some bird specimens from our Natural History Museum collection. These stuffed specimens are used for research and education and are a great way to closely observe the distinct features of many bird species. When we're out birding, it can be difficult to tell bird species apart. There are three main types of characteristics that we rely on to help us out: size, field markings, and behavior. Let's start with size. The overall size of a bird can be difficult to pinpoint when we're out in the field, but body proportions can give us more clues. For example, is the beak long and narrow or short and thick? Does the bird have a long or short tail? Does it have a long neck? Take a look at these two birds. What do you observe about their body size and proportions? Now, the striking thing about these two birds is their bright blue color, which is where size and proportion can really help us distinguish between the two. So this bird back here is definitely larger than our bird right down here. It also has a much thicker, longer beak, as well as a longer tail. The bird in the front, much more small appearance, as well as a fairly delicate looking little beak there, and generally a shorter tail. Now let's talk field markings. Field markings are specific features like colors, patterns, and feather arrangements that can help the bird stand out. Look for field markings such as stripes, eye rings, bright patches of color, crests, and other distinguishing characteristics. Looking at this bird here, what field markings do you observe? Now, this bird has lots of really distinguishing features. We can see lots of black polka dots on its chest, as well as this black collar. If you take a closer look, the shafts of its feathers are bright orange, and it's got these red mustache markings right along its beak. It also, even though we can't see it in this specimen, will have a bright white patch right above its tail. Now, let's face it, we can't always make out the size or color of a bird. This is where behavior can give us more clues as to the type of bird we're seeing. What part of the habitat is it in? Does it swim? Does it soar? Is it on the ground or up in a tree? Is it stationary or very mobile? Is it part of a flock or is it solitary? Obviously, we can't observe behavior from dead bird specimens, so take a moment to watch the following video clip. What do you observe about this bird's behavior? Now, that bird in the video is actually this bird right here, and it had a very distinctive flight pattern. You may have noticed that it was constantly soaring without really flapping its wings, and it was also moving around in a circle through the sky. That's very distinctive behavior for birds of prey like this one. Now, just for fun, I'm curious, do you recognize any of these birds? So we've got some very interesting birds in front of us today. I'll start over here. This is a red-tailed hawk, named for that rusty red tail. Right here is a northern flicker, a very common woodpecker around here. This here is a wood duck. Over here we have a western bluebird, and back here, a Steller's jay. This can be a lot to remember. Thankfully, we don't have to memorize every feature about every bird. Field guides are a great resource to help with species identification. Personally, I recommend the Sibley Guide, but there are many other great field guides that will do the trick. Apps can be a great resource as well. The Merlin Bird ID app, developed by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, is a free app that allows you to download various bird packs for birds found in different parts of the world. It has a feature to let you simply explore birds within your bird pack, or you can simply fill out a questionnaire to try to identify your bird. So let's say we spotted this bird in Ashland and today, and for the size of the bird, I'm going to put it between a sparrow and robin. We can put in some major colors, so definitely blue. I see some rusty red color up here, and even a little hint of white, so I'm going to add that in as well. What the bird was doing, and let's say I saw this bird in a tree or a bush, and we hit identify, and sure enough, the app pulls up a list of possible birds. And I can see that the first bird that came up is in fact the correct ID for this bird. All right, time to put your birding observations to practice. For this activity, you will need your bird identification worksheet. In a moment, we will play videos of 2 different birds found here at the Rogue River Preserve. Write down your observations about each species on your worksheet. Then, try to use a field guide or Merlin to identify those birds. Good luck! So cute. Yeah, you eat up those burgers. Let's see how you did. The first bird was a Lewis's woodpecker, and it can be identified by its glossy dark wings and back, red face, long but thick beak, and gray and pink chest. Like most woodpeckers, it is perching upright on a tall tree trunk or branch, but it has some unusual woodpecker behavior. Instead of pecking the wood for insects, it flies up to catch insects in the air, then immediately returns to its perch. Our second bird was the lesser goldfinch, and unlike the first bird, we saw several of these birds in one area. This is flocking behavior, which is very common in finches and some other songbirds. We saw some different colors and field markings with this bird. The male had a bright yellow belly and a very dark head and back, while the females had an olive, greenish-yellowish body and black and white wings. These birds are also very small, with much shorter and thicker beaks for cracking seeds. Nice work! Now let's take this a step further. You've had practice identifying birds from your screen. Think you can identify one in person? At the end of this video, go ahead and step outside somewhere and try to identify one more bird species using the same steps on your worksheet. When we come back, we'll revisit the birds of the Rogue River Preserve, and we'll discuss not only how awesome birds are, but their importance as well. See you soon!